There's never a day of peace in the boxing industry because right now Mike Tyson has just put Jake Paul in a humbling state with the new rules he released for the November 15th fight.
Jake, same fate. I'm gonna knock out Jake Paul.
Can you imagine? It seems the problem child is in a world of hurt this time. Let's dissect how it actually came about. The whole event started off on July 5th, 2024, when Jake Paul sent shockwaves through the boxing world by announcing he was canceling his much-anticipated fight with Mike Tyson. In a video on his YouTube channel, Jake dropped the bombshell that he was super concerned about Tyson's health. He even brought up some medical advice, suggesting that at 58, Tyson might not be fit for the challenge. Jake spun it as putting Mike's health first, painting himself as the respectful one looking out for the legendary boxer.
Different date, same fate. I'm gonna knock out Jake Paul.
Well, he thought Mike Tyson was some basketball he could toss around, saying Tyson wouldn't be in the best state to fight with him. Iron Mike, on the other hand, wasn't in for any of that. It seems he was tired of all the crap and slammed Jake Paul with a $350 million fine for thinking too highly of himself. Of course, no one saw that coming.
Devastating news. I'm heartbroken, speechless, gutted. We've been working so hard over here, everyone in this camp, and I just feel bad for everyone involved in this event.
Now, Jake is running crazy over this ridiculous fine, asking Mike to fight like they initially planned. Tyson had been training relentlessly, sharing his progress on social media, proving he still had the fire. But Jake's abrupt decision left everyone scratching their heads. Jake tried to calm things down by urging fans to forget about the fight and look ahead to the future. That didn't go well at all. People were frustrated and promoters and sponsors were fuming. So in a completely unexpected move, Jake Paul dropped the news that he'd be fighting a new opponent. Mike Perry. Set for July 20th, 2024, this choice raised eyebrows everywhere.
The news is true, folks. I, Jake Paul, will be fighting Mike Perry, Tampa, Florida, July 20th.
Perry, a former UFC fighter known for his wild style and big personality, was a surprising pick. Jake didn't provide much of an explanation for the switch, just giving a nod to Perry's fighting skills. This left fans both intrigued and skeptical, sparking talks about what this fight would mean. Perry, who transitioned from MMA to boxing, brought a gritty, no-nonsense attitude that clashed with Jake's flashy persona. The promotion for Paul versus Perry went into overdrive, with Perry hyping the fight and promising an intense showdown. All the while, the canceled Tyson fight hung over the situation, making everyone wonder what could have been. However, the loudest reaction came from Iron Mike himself, having to deal with the severe pain of an ulcer, but still refusing to cancel a fight out of sheer commitment. Of course, this would piss anyone off. Then Jake Paul waltzes in, thinking he can just call off the match. No, things don't work that way, Jake. Mike Tyson, known for not messing around, especially when millions are on the line, took immediate action by slapping Jake with a whopping $350 million lawsuit. Yes, you heard that right, $350 million. Well, let's dissect how this ridiculous amount came about. Jake's sudden change of plans caused a financial apocalypse. It was indeed crazy. Monster Energy and DraftKings had splurged millions on hyping this fight, only for their massive advertising campaigns to become worthless overnight. Sponsorships were lined up from big brands eager to associate with what was supposed to be the boxing event of the year. But with Jake canceling, those sponsorships have turned into financial black holes, like watching stacks of cash go up in flames. And the advertising, TV spots, online ads, billboards, vanished without a trace, evaporating into thin air.
Fight.
Yeah, the biggest ever.
Ever. It's on pace to be the biggest fight ever.
Yes, and we're involved.
We're involved,
We're
right?
involved. All those big shots, all the biggest athletes in the world. This is the biggest ever.
November 28th. Let's
Lit. Hey, we lit here. We lit at the Tyson Ranch.
From the big-name broadcasters who gathered big bucks for exclusive rights to the small-time investors dreaming of a payday, everyone's feeling the sting. And now Jake Paul's got to face the consequences of his decision. The $350 million fine has everyone talking, and the debate is heating up. Critics are crying foul, claiming the fine is way over the top and questioning whether it's even legal. Jake Paul is spinning it as a simple mix-up, a harmless miscommunication. Classic Jake, always playing the misunderstood hero who just had a tiny slip-up. According to his camp, it's all been taken out of context, and they're promising that November will still see Jake and Tyson going toe-to-toe in the ring. But the real question is, with this drama swirling, can we really believe that's the whole story? Mike Tyson wasn't falling for Jake Paul's excuses, not one bit. His patience was thin, and he wasn't about to let Jake off the hook so easily. With trust shattered, Tyson dropped a bombshell that left the boxing world reeling. He laid down an ultimatum. If Jake wanted this fight to happen, it would be on Tyson's brutal terms. On July 10th, 2024, Tyson unveiled his new fight rules, designed to push Jake to the brink. These rules weren't just tough. They were a calculated move to test Jake's limits and turn up the heat in ways nobody saw coming. This is no ordinary boxing match anymore. Mike Tyson is shaking things up big time. His new rules are set to push Jake Paul to the absolute limit, and from the looks of things, it's not going to be pretty. First off, Tyson's thrown out the typical 8-round bout and cranked it up to a grueling 15 rounds. That's right, 15 rounds. Tyson's bringing back the old-school boxing vibes, and it's a game changer. Jake Paul could literally be shaking right now. This switch is a massive deal for a few reasons. For one, Jake Paul's used to short, flashy fights. Now he's got to condition himself for a marathon, not a sprint. That means he'll need to be a master of strategy, pacing himself, conserving energy, and knowing when to strike and when to play defense. More rounds mean more opportunities to slip up and get exhausted, testing his stamina and focus like never before. It's a high-stakes mental and physical endurance test, and Jake's in for a rough ride. And that's not all. Tyson's slashing the rest periods between rounds to just 30 seconds, a far cry from the usual 1-minute breather. Talk about cranking up the pressure. In a typical fight, those 60 seconds are gold for fighters. They use that time to catch their breath, get crucial advice from their corner, and mentally regroup. But with only 30 seconds to recover, Jake Paul is in for a brutal surprise. This cut in rest time is a game changer, leaving him barely enough time to recover before diving back into the action. It's a cruel twist that makes the already intense fight even more grueling, pushing Jake's endurance and resilience to their absolute limits. Just when we all thought he was done, he blows on the gloves rule. Tyson's shaking things up by insisting on 8-ounce gloves instead of the usual 10-ounce ones. It might sound like a minor detail, but this tweak is game-changing. Smaller gloves mean less padding, so every punch will hit with way more force. Imagine the impact: harder punches, increased risk of injury, and a whole lot more pain. Jake Paul will have to seriously sharpen his technique, not just to land his own heavy hits, but also to brace himself for Tyson's crushing blows. This isn't just a small adjustment. It's Tyson's way of turning up the heat and making sure Jake feels every single punch. And then there's the knockout-only rule, which has everyone buzzing. Forget about accumulating points or relying on judges' decisions. This fight is all about who can deliver the knockout blow. Tyson has made it crystal clear. The only way to win is by leaving your opponent flat on the canvas. No exceptions, no compromises. This rule is a massive shakeup for Jake Paul, who's built his reputation on his knockout power, but now faces a brutal new challenge. Jake can't play it safe anymore. Every punch has to be a potential game ender. Every move a step towards finishing the fight. No more dancing around or scoring points. This is a full-on all-or-nothing brawl. Tyson's rule isn't just about testing Jake's power. It's a psychological masterstroke. He knows this is Jake's weak spot, and he's playing it like a pro, making sure Jake can't fall back on any defensive strategies. The anticipation around this knockout-only rule has fans on the edge of their seats. It adds a layer of raw excitement, with each round promising a potential ending at any moment. And then there's the Iron Man round, a rule that has everyone talking. Imagine a full 3 minutes of nonstop action with no breaks, no pauses, and no timeouts. Tyson's introducing a round where fighters must keep their feet moving and fists flying without a single moment of respite. It's like he's taken a page straight out of the Gladiator handbook. This rule isn't just about physical endurance, it's a psychological power play. Tyson, ever the mastermind, knows this could totally flip the script. The Iron Man round is designed to push Jake Paul to his absolute limits, testing his stamina and resilience like never before. It's not just a test of who's in better shape, but who can handle the pressure of unrelenting combat. Okay, from these rules, this is exactly the scene. Jake and Tyson battling it out with no interruptions, no chance to catch their breath or regroup. The intensity is cranked up to 11, and the audience is on the edge of their seats. Whoa, it's going to be a lot. This fight promises to be a real game changer, and Tyson's move has everyone eagerly waiting to see how Jake will handle this brutal innovation. Tyson also came out with a new crazy twist: drug testing. He cracked down hard, insisting on mandatory and random drug tests throughout the entire training camp and right up to the fight. It's not just about keeping things clean, it's a full-on statement. Tyson's making it crystal clear. No room for any sneaky performance enhancers here. Jake Paul better keep his game strictly by the book, or he'll risk a major scandal. Tyson's rules are turning the fight into a pure test of raw talent, grit, and endurance. The added scrutiny means Jake's got to be on top of his game every day without any shortcuts. Tyson's message is loud and clear. This fight will be an unfiltered showdown, and he's making sure it's all about who's got the real skill and strength. And here's the final kicker: Tyson's no clinching rule. Oh, it's a real game changer. Tyson laid down some hardcore penalties for any excessive clinching, which is when fighters grab onto each other to halt the action and catch their breath. Normally, clinching can be a sneaky tactic to disrupt the flow and buy some recovery time. But Tyson? He's having none of it. His new rule is all about nonstop action. No more stalling or trying to slow Tyson's relentless onslaught by hugging it out. Tyson's demanding that Jake Paul stays on his toes, keeps moving, and fights continuously. This is a call for pure, unadulterated action. And it's clear Tyson's out to push Jake to his limits, making every second in the ring count. This rule means Jake will have to rely solely on his stamina and skill to keep up, with no escape routes. So do you think Jake Paul can handle all these brutal new rules? Or should he be drafting his will before stepping into the ring? Well, Jake's about to find out if all his previous antics have caught up with him.